Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Natasha Arrow, and right now we're live in our digital center, and I'm joined by Local 5 anchor Michele McCormack, and she's here to talk about an investigative story that she's been working on. It's called Invisible Crisis. So Michele, tell people how the story got its name.
Well, from our boss, actually, Natasha, David Lee, the news director here at WFRV. And he came up with that name after reading the report. So I was actually encouraged that that is what came to mind after reading what I discovered and what I've decided to share with viewers, because that says to me we're talking about something that nobody else is talking about. And that's what you want to do as a reporter. And it definitely is a topic that I think people are uncomfortable about discussing, but that we dive into it head on. And maybe after our report, it will be the beginning of it not being invisible anymore.
So tell us, what will we see in this story? What are some of the things that we'll hear?
Just excuse me a minute, because I'm sharing on Facebook as well, because that's part of our goal, is to try and share information, and I just figured out. So excuse me if I was kind of competing with my own voice, which tends to happen. But your question is, how did I get the idea? Typical reporter protocol. So if a story is good enough to lead a newscast one night, it's good enough for a follow-up. But I had no idea that I would have the follow-up that I had, because when I saw a disturbing piece of surveillance video that was released by the Menasha Police Department, I wanted to know more, the story behind the story, just like you're doing right now, Natasha. And what I found out is something I didn't know, that the Fox Valley has been dealing with now and trying to get a handle on for the better part of a decade. And it only got worse because of COVID-19. But amidst the pandemic and exacerbating the crisis, it's also created an opportunity for change in the community. And that's kind of how stories come about. You look to find context, because it was one of those stories where it happened very close to our 10 o'clock newscast. So we could get on the record with it. We could show people what we were talking about, but it only led to continued questions. And that's what we've been working on now for the better part of the month, bringing information to light, but also seeking answers to the questions.
And so tell me a little bit about, what did you learn? You know, you said you've been working on this for about a month. That's a very long period of time to work on a story. Tell me a little bit about what you've learned.
Well, I mean, you have to pull back the curtain. And it reinforced what I always knew, that if we really want to get a handle on what the people who serve and protect our community are really facing, you got to spend time with them. This is not merely showing up to a breaking news scene. This is not just blowing in during a press conference and then going back to the station and never seeing these people again. So we spent time with the police department. And what was refreshing to me, because I've been reporting on law enforcement for more than 2 decades now, the roll call is nothing like what it used to be at the police department. You know, it used to be very militaristic, marching orders, everybody standing at attention. What I found very refreshing is that it really was serious discussion, noting crime trends, talking about continuing cases, but also at the Menasha Police Department going over the mission statement. And how about this? Not discussions of force, but discussions on how do we talk to people? Why are people engaging us in the way that they are engaging us? And an interesting thing that the Menasha police chief told me, Tim Stajka, he said, we've identified 3 major reasons why people become combative with officers. One is they have an anti-government or anti-police sentiment. 2, the most obvious, they have an outstanding warrant, all right, and they don't want to be caught. The 3rd reason, I never saw coming. So that's when I said to the chief, I've got to do a story on this, and we're doing a story on it tonight at 6.
What is your hope for this story? What do you want people to take away, you know, when they watch it?
Oh, just enlightenment, perhaps empathy, education. You know, we are not into hype here at Local 5. We're very issues-oriented, very information-oriented. So I'm not leaving anything open to interpretation. You don't believe me that it's an invisible crisis? Do not take my word for it. I go straight to the source. You will hear straight from them. You will see for yourself, and then the viewers can reach their own conclusions. I just feel honored and grateful to have had the opportunity to bring some light to this issue. You know, a battle always is with media, you know, how do you get viewers to actually pay attention to what you're saying? And so what I ask viewers to do is listen to the information, digest it, and then decide how you want to react. And you can always tweet me. I have a feeling this will lead to further discussions. And it's okay, I'm open to it. You know, it's one report. We are just scratching the surface. I don't claim to be able to solve problems, but I do put viewers in touch with the people who can. That's what I can promise you tonight.
And tell people, what was the most challenging part of you putting this story together?
For me, it was just talking about the subject matter in a way that protects privacy, but gives enough detail so viewers can fully assess the crisis that we're talking about. And you have to be a reporter. You have to get all the information out, but you are also a human being. So the challenge always is each and every day, and this story is no exception. It is striking that balance, making sure we're being responsible, making sure we're not violating people's privacy, but also forcing people to be truly candid and tell it like it really is. And for as surprising, and I will be honest, as dismayed as I initially was when I first was learning what is facing the Fox Valley and what has been facing the Fox Valley, I was surprised. It shows me I make assumptions, you know, because Menasha and Outagamie County and Winnebago and Calumet counties, very picturesque. People, you know, seem to have a slice of the American life, that great Midwestern life. But there's some major challenges facing this community. So it kind of sets me straight to not make assumptions based on the physicality or the looks or past impressions and old-fashioned ideas, and just opening up my mind, accepting what the truth really is, and hoping that the community will be open to the truth as well.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, Michele. And again, for people who want to see the story Invisible Crisis, it will air tonight at 6, and you can also go to our website, wearegreenbay.com. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
We'll see you at 6.